Okay, we're going to look at 2.9% today, and I'm going to give you these basically fit into proportions. We're writing and solving a proportion to figure out these percent problems. And so one thing you may have heard before, percent over 100. So if you're given a percentage like 30%, 15%, you put that over 100, that's the left-hand side, or one of the halves of your proportion. Percent over 100 equals is over of. So what follows the is, or corresponds to, I shouldn't say necessarily follows the is, but what goes with the is goes over the of part. So it's one way to think about it. Another way to think about it is percent over 100 equals part over whole. So think about the problem, or part over total, and kind of make sure that numerically it's making sense. So thinking about which is the part, which is the total, set up your proportion in that way. So is percent over 100 equals is over of, or percent over 100 equals part over total. A percent equation, another way to think about it is A, the amount, or the part, A, equals the percent times B, the whole. So the percent you'll write as a decimal. If it gives you, for example, 15%, you would change it to 0.15. And then to change from a decimal to a percent, you'd go the other direction and change it from 0.15 back to 15 or 15. So move the decimal to the two places to the right to change it from a percent, or from a decimal to a percent. So a few different ways to think about the same thing. Percent equation or a percent proportion. Two ways to think about a percent proportion. One way to think about the percent equation, if you want to use it that way. So once again, A is the part, B is the whole, P is the percent, write it as a decimal. Simple interest formula. It's interest equals P for principal, or starting amount, if you invest $1,000 in the bank, times R, which is the interest rate, written as a decimal. Maybe it's at 3% annual interest, so you'd go 0.03 times the amount you started with, and then T is the time. So those are our formulas for percent. We'll go ahead and apply those. If you need to, you can pause the video and write down these formulas. You'll need these for the problems that you're working on. Right, common percents represented as decimals and fractions here. 1% as a decimal would be 0.01. As a fraction, it's 1 over 100. It's 0.01, or 1 over 100. 5% would be 0.05, or 1 out of 20. What you can do on your calculator is take the 0.05, and clear this. Take the, well, on your calculator, you can hit the 0.05, and then on your calculator you'll hit the second function and the PRB key, and that will change it to a fraction. On mine I have to hit math and the fraction key, and then hit enter. On yours you'll hit second PRB, and it will change that 0.05 to the fraction 1 over 20. So you can go through the rest of the table on your own. You might want to pause the video and go through the rest of the table on your own, and then check it with my answers here. Should be noticed that when you get to 100%, that's the same as 1 whole, and so the fraction is just 1. So hopefully this table makes sense. Like I said, you can go ahead and pause it, pause the video, and fill in the table. And we're going to go on to some practice problems. All right, it says find a percent using the percent proportion. Got 3 problems here to do. It says, what percent of 56 is 42? It says over here, remember, using the proportion, the percent doesn't need to be converted. So we're gonna, that's just saying when we solve it, it'll already be in percent form. So it says, what percent of 50 is 42? So if you want to use the is over of, the 56 goes with the of, 42 goes with the is, so is over of. So percent is what we don't know, over 100 equals the is, 42, over 56. Or ask yourself the question, okay, what percent of 56 is 42? the 42 is the part, whereas the 56 is the whole. So I expect to get a percent that's less than 100 on this. I'm going to solve it by cross-multiplying and dividing. So 56x equals 4200, dividing each side by 56. 4200 divided by 56. Gives me 75%. So going back over here, we've got 75% in this one. You got to ask yourself, does that make sense? 42 out of 56, does that seem like about 3/4 of 56? It does, so it makes sense to me. All right, what percent of 90 is 30? So once again, we have percent over 100 equals the is over the of. There's the is. There's the of, or part over whole, 30 over 90. So what percent of 90 is 30? 30 is what percent of 90? Some of you may know what that is already. 30 out of 90 is about 1/3, and 1/3 is a percentage. It'd be around 33.3%. But let's just go ahead and solve the proportion. I have 90x equals 3 with 1, 2, 3 zeros. Dividing each side by 90, we have 3,000 divided by 90. And I get 33.3%. So going back over here, x equals about 33.3%. All right, the second problem, it says finding a percent using the percent equation. Remember, the percent equation was A, look at your first page, equals P percent times B, where A is the part and B is the whole. It says, remember, to change from decimal to percent, multiply by 100. So to change from a decimal to percent, we got to multiply it by 100. So it says, what percent of 40 is 2.5? So what percent of 40 is 2.5? So the part is the 2.5. And we're going to solve for P here. We've got the whole is 40. So using our algebra skills, we're going to divide each side by 40 here. So P is going to equal a certain decimal. That's why we have this remember over here. So let's go to our calculators. There's 2.5, I believe, divided by 40. Gives me the decimal 0.0625. 0.0625. 0.0625. And it says over here, remember, change from a decimal to percent, multiply by 100. Now that is equivalent to moving the decimal 2 places to the right. So my percent would be 6.25%. So what I'm saying is 2.5 is 6.25% of 40. That makes sense to me because 10% of 40 would be 4. And so 2.5 out of 40 is going to be less than 10%. 6.25% makes sense. All right. Next one, problem 3. Finding a part. It says a dress shirt that normally costs $38.50 is on sale for 30% off. What is the sale price? We can do this in 2 different ways. We could do this setting up a proportion, or we could do this using our percent equation that I just wrote up here. You can see it at the top of the page there. Let's do both. So here we have, it's on sale for 30% off. So what we're going to do is find out how much to take off of the price, then we're going to have to subtract it off of the $38.50. So we're just going to find what percent to take off, and then we're going to have to do a calculation or a subtraction to actually get the sale price of the dress shirt. So 30%, that's half of my proportion, 30 over 100, percent over 100, equals, and so the dress shirt normally costs $38.50. I'm going to be finding the part, or the is part. The whole, or the actual original price, is $38.50. So I know the $38.50 goes on the bottom because it is the original price, and I'm actually just finding the part that I'm going to take off from the $38.50. So if we cross multiply here, I have 100x. I'm going to go to my calculator and do $38.50 times 30. So 38.50 times 30, and I get 1,155. So 1,155. Then divide each side by 100. So X equals, if I divide by 100, that's equivalent to moving the decimal place 2 places to the left, or you can do it on your calculator. You'll notice that I do move the decimal place 2 places left. You can see here, it went from here to here. From, see the little hand there. So it's $11.55. Now that is not the actual price of the shirt. That wouldn't make any sense. 30% off is just taking about a third off. So this is just telling me what to take off of the price of the shirt. And so I would take 38.50, subtract 11.55 from it, and I'll get the sale price of the shirt. So 38.50 minus 11.55, that's the price to take off. $26.95 is what I'm going to pay for that shirt now. So $26.95 is the sale price of the shirt we'll box that. Okay, just to show you that the percent equation right here, highlight that real quickly. Right up here, there's the percent equation. I highlighted up there. We can use that to find that X equals 11.55 as well. We would plug in, it says A equals, so A is what we're trying to find. A is the amount we're going to take off, equals P percent. I got to change the percent to a decimal, 0.3. And B is the whole, so 0.3 times 38.50. This would be a quick calculation on your phone's calculator. So anytime you're shopping, you can just take whatever percent off it is, multiply it, or change it to a decimal, multiply it by the original price. It will tell you the amount to take off. And so in this case, 0.3 times 38.50. So 0.3 times 38.50 equals 11.55. So there's another way to get your 11.55. So it's A equals 11.55. Remember, once again, that's the amount off. You'd still have to do the calculation right here that we did on your phone's calculator. 38.50 minus the 11.55. Don't go up the register expecting to pay 11.55 for it. You're taking 11.55 off. And so the sale price is $26.95. All right, hope this helps. Thanks for listening.